The story begins, and we see Qin State, Luzhou, east of Xinyang City. Then we see a man talking about himself. My name is Jiang Jue, and I am originally a good young man in the 21st century. I don't know why I transmigrated to this world where there are demons, devils and immortals, but I also awakened to the providential system. This system allows me to see the past and future for others, but it needs to consume points, and I have to find treasures from all over the world to sacrifice to it, and I can only see for others, and even help others change their fate but not mine. Also, I think there is something wrong with this system. And then a man says to Jiang Jue, "Hey, fortune teller, will I get married?" And Jiang Jue looks at that man and says to him, 10 copper coins. At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, I'm just an ordinary guy, how can I obtain any treasures to feed this system? But the man says to Jiang Jue, "Are you sure? So expensive." And Jiang Jue tells him, "Hey, if I'm not sure, you just turn my stall upside down." Then the man gives the money to Jiang Jue and Jiang Jue says to him, "Okay, write anything you want." And that man has made a drawing of a turtle, and Jiang Jue is not saying anything after seeing it. Then the system tells Jiang Jue, the host wants to see the fate for Zhao Debao. It needs to consume 1 fate point. 0 years old, a baby boy born in a Nyoto village, his father, Zhao Ergen, named the baby boy Zhao Debao. 16 years old, Zhao Debao encouraged his buddies to peek at the widow's bath, and was hung from a tree by Lu's concubine, Zhao Ergu, and beaten with bamboo sticks. 30 years old, because of his bad reputation, no girl wants to marry him. 50 years old, Zhao Debao died in a disaster year at the hands of bandits, and he never married. After the simulation is over, do you want to change the fate and rededuce it? The rededuction needs to consume 10 points of Zhao Debao's merit. Zhao Debao's current merit 3. You can choose to spend your 100 points of merit to change his life, current merit 89539. And Jiang Jue is thinking, don't be ridiculous, I met a passerby by chance, how could I consume my own merit to change his fate? And the system further says you peeked at his fate, you can choose to hide the secret, reward, merit -100, 3 disasters and natural punishment. Or do you want to tell his fate, penalty for telling the truth, plus 10 merit points and one of the following punishments: 1 Zhao Debao's peeping experience, 2 Zhao Debao's blacksmithing skills, 3 Widow Lu's belly band. And listening to the system, Jiang Jue feels a bit strange, and at the same time he is thinking, what is this strange thing? I said the system is wrong. Ordinary fortune-telling is not to reveal the truth, only it forced me to tell the truth with people. Speaking will get me merit and special rewards. I do not say it will award me 3 days of punishment, death without burial. Then the man says, fortune plate, what's up? And Jiang Jue tells him, have you ever heard a frog chirping? Ha! Guquat widow, the marriage of wood. And as soon as the man hears this, he gets very angry, and picks up the table lying in front of Jiang Jue and throws it, and Jiang Jue is saying to him, this world's people, why are they so cranky? Then the system tells Jiang Jue, you have revealed the truth of the heavens and have been punished for it. For merit +10, Zhao Debao's blacksmithing skills. But Jiang Jue is getting very angry, and he is saying to the system, what about the remaining 2 options? Playing dead again. Forcing me to tell the fortunes of 3 people every day. The people of this world cannot let me take the initiative to find others to count, only to wait for others to come to me. In my truthful mouth, almost no one is looking for my fortune-telling. I can only go to the West City to try my luck, there are many foreigners, there is always a thought. Next, the scene shifts, and we see the rabbit demon, who is running very fast. Her name is Red Sandalwood. And while going ahead she is saying, I never thought that the secret treasure of the demon kingdom would be so easily obtained by me, and I never thought that the heavenly Demon Lord.Tu Shanlan was hiding such a secret. And as she looks down, she sees Jiang Jue, who is walking forward looking very disappointed. And the rabbit dame is thinking, just a subtle area of reasoning, not the usual half-word. So familiar? I remember, in the clan, the old ancestor had personally invited him into the ancestral land, and he was carrying this pair of cloth streamers in the bamboo basket. I remembered he was a fortune teller. I didn't expect to meet him here. This is a great opportunity, not to be wasted. And Red Sandalwood comes directly in front of Jiang Jue and says to him, "Please stay, mister," but Jiang Jue turns his head to the other side and tells her, "You really got a lot of nerve to enter a human city in broad daylight." And as soon as Red Sandalwood hears this, she is shocked. Then she says to Jiang Jue, "Can you tell my fortune, Mr. Xiao?" At the same time, Red Sandalwood is thinking, "I'm the best at hiding my breath, and that's how I was able to steal the treasure of the heavenly demon lord." But now, just face to face, he recognized the real body, and is really an expert, and Jiang Jue says to Red Sandalwood, "It is very expensive." And Jiang Jue is thinking, "This is clearly a demonic creature. To tell her fortune, if I tell the truth, she will not only upset the stall, may I also lose my life. Motherfucker, this system has to let people come to me voluntarily to be qualified, and not give me the right to refuse, just want to play with me." And Red Sandalwood says to Jiang Jue, "I know, please make a price." So Jiang Jue tells, 100,000 spirit stones. And Jiang Jue is thinking, it's not a small amount, and I hope she'll back off. And as soon as Red Sandalwood hears this, she becomes very shocked. And she is thinking, so expensive? Although I have reached the spiritual stage of demon cultivation, I also need 100 years of savings to save such a sum of spiritual stones. Mortal's man does not even know what a spirit stone is. He dares to open his mouth. I must have found the right person. Even the old ancestors have to be treated with courtesy of the divinatory master. 100,000 spirit stones is not expensive. Then Jiang Jue starts leaving this place, but Red Sandalwood stops Jiang Jue and tells him, "Mr. Xiao, I don't know if this top-grade magic weapon, the Red Flame Pearl, might be worth it." And Jiang Jue is thinking while looking at that thing, Red Flame Pearls? How many points can I get for this? The 100,000 spirit stones I want can be exchanged for 20,000 heavenly fate points. And the system says the top-grade magic weapon, Red Flame Pearl, can be exchanged for 22,000 heavenly fate points. And Jiang Jue says to Red Sandalwood, "Yes, you can write a word." And Red Sandalwood writes something on that paper and gives it to Jiang Jue, and she is saying, "Thank you, sir, I'd like to calculate my future." And the system says, for calculating the fate of Red Sandalwood, this deduction needs to consume 10,000 destiny points. And Jiang Jue is thinking, yes. It's different for demons than for ordinary people, and the system is telling 0 years old. A rabbit was born in Kyokan Ridge, the land of 10,000 demons. At the age of 300, the rabbit absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon, successfully transformed into a form and opened its wisdom, and named itself Red Sandalwood. And Jiang Jue is thinking, she actually stole the treasures of the Lord of Heavenly Demons. This original Lord of Heavenly Demons, is there such a secret? Then the system says, you have peeked at the fate. Do you want to reveal the secret penalty? Plus 1,000 merit, and one of the following penalties. 1. The Red Sandalwood Cultivation Perception. 2. The Upper Grade Yellow Grade Technique. Charmed Heart Technique. 3. Miscellaneous Books. Raiders Men's 100 Kinds of Insights. You peeked at the fate. Do you want to hide the secret? Reward, merit minus 10,000, 3 days penalty. And Jiang Jue is thinking, oh no, this means that I also know the secret of that day's devil master. That big devil is omnipotent. I'm afraid I will be implicated. And Red Sandalwood says, Mr. Xiao, what is my future? And Jiang Jue tells him, future? Huh! People who are about to die. What kind of future are they talking about? And as soon as Red Sandalwood hears this, at that very moment someone cuts Red Sandalwood's neck. Due to which Jiang Jue also gets very shocked, and blood splatters fall on Jiang Jue. Then when people see this, they get very scared. And those people are looking upwards, and someone attacks these people, due to which all of them are killed. And at that place enters the Demon Lord. And this happens, 10,000 Demon Kingdom Supreme Demon Lord.Tu Shanlan. Then the servant says to 'Tu Shanlan, Your Majesty, we have found it, and 'Tu Shanlan takes that thing. Next we see Jiang Jue, who is thinking, I'm really hurt by that rabbit spirit. He touched something of the heavenly Demon Lord and came to me for fortune-telling. What's even worse is that now in front of me is Heavenly Demon Lord.Tu Shanlan. And Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Jue, since she is looking for Mr. Xiao for fortune-telling, why don't you tell me fortune-telling, how? But Jiang Jue says, what fortune-telling? I don't understand, I'm just a passerby. And tears start falling from Jiang Jue's eyes, and he starts running away. At the same time he is thinking, it seems that she came early. I should not have said that the people who will die cannot say that the system will not let me go on now. Well, the Lord of the Heavenly Demons is looking for me to tell her fortune. And as soon as Jiang Jue starts running away from this place, red sandalwood servants come in front to stop Jiang Jue, then say to him, Your Holiness didn't say to let you go. And seeing those people, Jiang Jue gets scared, and he says, be a human being and stay on the line, so we can meet again in the future. And Tu Shanlan says, but I am a demon? And Jiang Jue says, ah, yes, yes. In fact, my hexagram gold is very expensive, and Tu Shanlan says it doesn't matter, I have plenty of money. And Jiang Jue says, in fact, there are many taboos in spying on the secrets of others. And Tu Shanlan is getting angry and she says, tell my fortune or die. And Jiang Jue, moving the brush forward, says, please write a word. And Tu Shanlan takes the brush. And Jiang Jue is thinking, alas, forget it. Whether it is the Lord of Heavenly Demons or the system, I can't refuse anyone, is dead or alive, let the heavens decide. And the system tells Jiang Jue, is this a fate calculation for Tu Shanlan? This time you need to consume 100 million destiny points. And as soon as Jiang Jue hears this, he gets a huge shock. And he is thinking, 100 million? I've been here for 5 years, and it's the first time I've had to consume so many fate points for someone else's fortune. But I have saved a few heavenly fate points, but not enough for a fraction of that. By the way, this system of mine is to calculate the fate of heaven. The higher the subject's cultivation, the stronger the talent, the higher the future achievement, the more difficult the deduction will be, and the more heavenly fate points will be consumed. She is the Demon Lord, and her cultivation base and talent are among the best, that's why she wasted her points. And Tu Shanlan says, can't figure it out? And Tu Shanlan is thinking, I thought he was a man of ability who could tell the life and death of her in one word. But now he sees the word kill, he's scared, so useless. And Tu Shanlan says to her servant, kill him. And just as the servant is about to kill Jiang Jue asks Tu Shanlan to stop, and tells her, who says I can't calculate? I am afraid that I can calculate, but the Lord of Heavenly Demons cannot hear. And Tu Shanlan stops her servant. Then she says, what do you want? And Jiang Jue says, if the Heavenly Demon Lord is willing to use the entire demon kingdom as my gold, perhaps I can. And Tu Shanlan says, bluffing. Sword slave, kill him. And Jiang Jue stops him and says, wait. Although the Lord of Heavenly Demons can't pay the money, I can calculate a corner of the future for you. The Lord of Heavenly Demons does not want to see what great achievements you made after 1,000 years. Don't you want to see if you are you still here after 1,000 years? And Tu Shanlan stops her servant. And she says, you can figure out what I'll be doing in 1,000 years? And Jiang Jue is saying, you can give it a shot. And Jiang Jue is thinking, come on, let's see what she'll become in 1,000 years. Tu Shanlan insisted on my fortune-telling, because she wanted to know the secrets of herself. Anyway, when I was doing the fortune-telling for red sandalwood, I already had this secret. It's just, what do I say? If it's something bad, really say it. I guess she must stab me through and the system tells Jiang Jue, you have chosen to perform the fate for Tu Shanlan. You have chosen to perform the fate after 1,000 years, this time you need to spend 1 million destiny points. And Jiang Jue says, pay in advance, 1 lower grade magic weapon, or 5 million spirit stones. Tu Shanlan then gives 1 million spirit stones to Jiang Jue. And the system tells Jiang Jue, 1,000 years later, Tu Shanlan is breastfeeding a baby in Xianxia Valley, and as soon as Jiang Jue hears this, he is shocked. At the same time he is thinking, breastfeeding? The supreme being of the 10,000 demon kingdom, the nightmarish demon lord of the human race. 1,000 years later, nursing a baby with a happy face? That murderous demoness? Who is it so capable? And the system further tells Jiang Jue, 1,001 years later, Tu Shanlan was having a headache with her eldest son's education. The little bastard didn't want to learn her way of killing, but had to learn his useless way of trigrams, which made her very angry. It's 1,002 years later, Tu Shanlan began to formally teach the practice of the second and third daughters, and was extremely satisfied with their talents. 1,003 years later, Tu Shanlan's 4 sons caught him enough when the 2 streamers that wrote only talk about the mysterious and subtle area of reasoning, not to say ordinary half a sentence false. She was very angry, obviously prepared the axe, hook, fork, sword, halberd and other kinds of divine weapons and spiritual treasures to beat him. 1,004 years later, the 5th child in the belly of Tu Shanlan still has no sign of birth this year, which makes her vaguely begin to worry. 1,005 years later. And Jiang Jue is thinking, there seems to be something wrong. And the system tells Jiang Jue, 1,010 years later, Tu Shanlan's husband, Jiang Jue, finally returned from the Yellow Springs to the Red Cloud Valley, which made her very happy. But while making out, her keen sense of smell picked up the scent of another woman on his body, and as soon as Jiang Jue listens to the system, he gets extremely shocked. And he is thinking, Tu Shanlan's husband, me? Fuck. I thought who has such an ability to turn this wild demon lord into a mother, and willingly take care of the baby, it turned out to be me, it's alright. Then the system further says stimulation ends, do you want to change her fate? For calculating Tu Shanlan's fate again needs 1 million merit points, current merit points, 11.25 million. You can also choose to spend 1 million merits to change your fate, your current merit points are 89539. And Jiang Jue gets surprised after hearing this and he is thinking, I also thought if the future wasn't good I can pay some price to change the future in order to not be killed by this demon. More than 10 million negative points? What exactly has this demoness done to harm heaven and earth? How is it that she has not been killed by heavenly punishment? I have accumulated all these years of merit. Even a fraction of her life is not enough. Then Tu Shanlan says, Mr. Xiao, did you figure it out? And Jiang Jue is thinking, it's over, if I said the truth, it is 100% sure that I'll be killed by her subordinate right now. And the system tells Jiang Jue, you have piqued the fate of heaven, you can choose to conceal the fate of heaven, the reward, merit 1 million, 9 heavy thunder punishments to death you have piqued the fate, you can choose to reveal the truth, the penalty, merit plus 100,000, and one of the following punishment. And Jiang Jue is thinking, usually calculating the fate, chooses to hide the secret, although the punishment is 3 disasters and natural punishment. But the system did not say that it is inevitable death. But this time, the system clearly said, you can't get it through, you're fucked. And the system says, 1 Tu Shanlan's parenting experience, 2 miscellaneous book, 10,000 ways to train your husband, 3 half jade pendants, and Jiang Jue is thinking, and what the fuck with these 3 rewards? No way, choose the third one and take a gamble. This mortal half jade pendant without any fluctuation in spiritual power, for some reason has a breath and also hides a secret of Tu Shanlan. With this pendant you can ask one request, she'll not be able to reject it. With this jade pendant, I'm saved. And Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Jue, why is Mr. Xiao silent? Are you lying to me? Then Jiang Jue says, congratulations to you. And Tu Shanlan says, what's the matter? So Jiang Jue says, 1,000 years later you'll become a mother 4 children and there's still one in your belly. The eldest son is wise and intelligent, learning the numbers of the 8 trigrams, the 5 elements of yin and yang, the ancient and modern matters are in the palm of his hand. The second and third daughters, the twin daughters, are born with amazing talent. They know the power of the gods and the way of killing and destroying. They have the talent to be the best in the world. The 4th son is young, not cultivated, but born with the appearance of the innate saint, innate holy body without dust, born with heavy pupils, 5 immortals to protect the body, 5 ghosts to open the way, all immortals are transmitted to the incense. The fifth son is still in the womb, but there is the innate purple chi contained in the fetus. The imperial dragon vein often looks back. This is the face of the emperor. And as soon as Tu Shanlan listens to Jiang Jue's words, she starts getting very angry, and she starts releasing her powers. Then she says to Jiang Jue, "Do you know the price of talking nonsense?" And Jiang Jue says to Tu Shanlan, "If I talk nonsense, God will hate me." And as soon as Jiang Jue says this, there is thundering in the sky. Then Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Jue, "In that case, you may tell me what kind of man I am willing to bear and raise children for him." And Jiang Jue laughingly tells Tu Shanlan, "Oh no, it's me." And hearing this, Tu Shanlan gets angry, and her servant also gets more angry, and he says, "Bold, one of the..." Then Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Jue, "Mr. Xiao, I'm afraid your calculation is wrong." But then Jiang Jue shows Tu Shanlan to Jade. Then he says, "Whether the calculation is true or false, it's not up to you to decide, and also take a look at this item." And Tu Shanlan gets surprised after seeing Jade and she says, "Why did you have this item?" And Jiang Jue says to Tu Shanlan, "I heard that the holder of the jade can make the Lord of Heavenly Demons promise one thing unconditionally. Is this true? Even if you want the Lord of Heavenly Demons to marry me, you can do it." And Tu Shanlan says, "True," and Jiang Jue is thinking, "Even get married?" Then Tu Shanlan starts touching Jiang Jue's cheeks and says to him, "When I look at you closely, you're really handsome. However, your fortune is inaccurate." And Jiang Jue says to Tu Shanlan, "Why did you say that?" And Tu Shanlan says to Jiang Jue, "Because I will take you back with me to the kingdom of 10,000 demons to get married. But I only promise to marry you. On the wedding night I'll kill you. But your date of death is within this year, so you say your hexagram is definitely not accurate?" And Jiang Jue tells me, "I just took the jade pendant and asked, I did not intend to make this wish. Please give me back the jade pendant. I will think again." And at the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, "Gone. This woman doesn't talk about martial arts." Then Red Sandalwood says to her servant, "Sword slave, servant slave, bring him back to the kingdom of 10,000 demons." But then Jiang Jue talisman takes out. Then he says, "You demon, whoever marries you is unlucky. If I gain merits and virtues in the future, I will definitely change my fate to this calamity. Goodbye." And that talisman, using this, Jiang Jue disappears from this place. And when Tu Shanlan sees this, she is very surprised. And then she says, "His talisman, is that the old dragon's method?" This fortune teller was able to get the old dragon of Sun Moon Lake to draw a light-preserving talisman for him. Who is this divine being? And the servant says to Tu Shanlan, "Lord, do you want me to capture the person back?" And Tu Shanlan says, "Save his life and bring him back to the 10,000 demon kingdom." At the same time Tu Shanlan is thinking, speaking of which, the red sandalwood who stole my jade soul orb, is that old dragon's command, right? What are their intentions? And the servant says, "The devil lord is going back to the lord of 10,000 demons?" But Tu Shanlan says, "Let's go." "No, go to Sun Moon Lake." After this the scene shifts and we see Wei State, Tianan Mountains, Yuhua River, and at this place Jiang Jue falls on the waterfall from above. Then he comes out of the waterfall, and is saying, "Whoops! How unlucky! My talisman. After staying in the Sun and Moon Lake for half a month, it was hard to get from the old dragon. This is the only one I didn't expect to use today. Tu Shanlan, you just wait for me to become invincible. I will definitely not let you go." However, according to the results of the system's divination, Tu Shanlan will marry me in 1,000 years. She also gave me 5 children, which is not a bad way to get revenge. No, that is the Lord who kills without blinking an eye. Forget it, it's really not worth it. I'd better try to accumulate some merit and change this fate. But where am I? Look inside. Maybe there's a treasure there. Half a month later, Jiang Jue is moving very fast sitting on the tiger, and he is saying, "Finally, it is almost a high open tenant mountain ridge DP. I didn't expect that the old dragon's 10,000-mile traveling talisman would bring me to a place outside of Wei State where there was no one around. This Wei State is so close to the kingdom of 10,000 demons, I do not dare to go back, do not let the demoness catch me. And the tiger is asking Jiang Jue, where are you going next, sir? So Jiang Jue says, I'd better go to Qin State instead. I don't have a boat to bypass the Yuhua River, but Tiger says, don't worry, sir, I have a way to help you bypass the river. And Jiang Jue says, really, thank you, brother Tiger. At the same time, Jiang Jue is thinking, this half a month is really not bad. Who would have thought that there is a forest here? There's a few spirits who have developed spiritual wisdom and Taoism. Not only did I successfully complete the 3 fortune-telling tasks every day, but I also got such a big treasure. Then the tiger says to Jiang Jue, sir, thanks a lot for calculating our destiny for us in this half a month. I am grateful to you for letting us know that a righteous God will come out of this place in the future. Everyone wants to give you a ride, why don't you agree? So Jiang Jue says, there's no need for doing such efforts. When the upright God appears in the future, as long as you do more good deeds, you will surely become an incense god who protects one side and enjoys one side's incense. And Jiang Jue is thinking, this group of beasts is not stupid. If I did not calculate the Tianan mountain ridge will come out a god, these mountain beasts can be contracted, and eventually enjoy a party of incense. They will not give me so much face. And the tiger is saying, I don't even know who the master is. This is the secret, and the secret must not be revealed. This is the secret, and the secret must not be revealed. And Jiang Jue is thinking, this positive God I have not counted. Maybe it's not born yet. I can come back to see it in the future when I have avoided the wind of Tu Shanlan. After some time, Jiang Jue is speaking to the tiger, that's it, you go back. But then water starts flowing in the air, seeing which Jiang Jue gets surprised, and he says, the river is dangerous, even with a boat, I'm afraid it cannot cross. Brother Tiger, you really have a way to let me bypass the river? And the tiger starts roaring. Then we see that because of that the water starts forming like a tornado, and Jiang Jue also starts facing problems due to this. And we see that something starts coming up in front, seeing which Jiang Jue becomes even more surprised. And a very big turtle comes to that place, and that turtle says, who dares to disturb the old man Xianxia? And Jiang Jue is thinking, looking at that big turtle, he speaks human language, and already refined the crossbone in its throat. It seems to be a monster with profound knowledge. Then the turtle further says, I heard a fortune teller come to the mountain these days, and he also enlightened many spirits and monsters in the south mountain. But sir, I don't know what to call Mr. So Jiang Jue says, my surname is Jiang. And the tortoise asks, Mr. Jiang, what brings you here? And Jiang Jue is saying, it turns out that you want to cross the river. It's just a trivial matter. An old man is willing to give you a ride across the river. It's rare for an expert to come to me with this, and I would definitely want to make a good relationship with him. In that case, I won't be polite. Brother Tiger, let's meet again later. After some time, we see that Jiang Jue is moving forward sitting on that big turtle. And that tortoise is asking Jiang Jue, where do you want to go, Mr. Jiang? So Jiang Jue says, Qin State. And Jiang Jue is thinking, I don't dare to go to Wei State for now. Then the tortoise says, Mr. Jiang is going to Qin. Is there something urgent? So Jiang Jue says, nothing urgent, I just want to travel all over the world. But the tortoise says, well, I'm advising you to not go Qin State these days. So Jiang Jue asks, why? Then the tortoise says, since Mr. Jiang calculates fortune, why don't you see the current situation of Qin State? But Jiang Jue says, is it better to wait and keep flowing with time? And Jiang Jue is thinking, how can I understand these facial features? Look at Qi, 6 Rin and 6 Lions. My fortune-telling are all calculated by the system. Fate of destiny. Okay? And the turtle says, what you said is right. And Jiang Jue is thinking, it is true that this way of divination is a way of harming oneself, and there are many taboos for peeking on the secrets of heaven. And the tortoise tells Jiang Jue, the Qin State was fine a few years ago, although the ruler of Qin State isn't an eloquent and strategic master, but also a middle-of-the-road master. With the establishment of diplomatic relations with the Dragon King of Shanghai, everything was smooth. However, 7 years ago, the ruler of the Qin State took a fancy on a witch, and in order to bring her into the palace, for her he abolished the queen. He became addicted to wine, ignored taxes and many other things. Inside the palace he built the forest of meat and the pond of wine, which is comparable to a fairyland. Well, Qin State is not what it used to be, hidden dangers are everywhere. If it's not urgent, I'd better suggest to not go. Then Jiang Jue says to the turtle, "Thanks for your reminder, I'll keep that in mind." At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, this giant tortoise is really enthusiastic. He also drove me across the river and kindly persuaded me. However, the Yuhua River still has to wave. After all, it is the state of Wei that goes back. This country of Wei is bordered by the kingdom of 10,000 demons. It is more likely her people looking for me in the Wei state. There's not a chance to go back. Then this turtle asked me a lot of irrelevant questions. I feel that they want to ask something but are embarrassed to ask. Half an hour later, we had already reached the river. On the way ahead, Jiang Jue sees some monsters, seeing whom Jiang Jue gets surprised, and says, "These monsters are not ordinary, why did you gather them here?" And the tortoise says to Jiang Jue, "Sir, don't be afraid, these monsters are disciples and grandchildren of mine. I just heard that Sir forecasts the future of wild spirits in the Tianmen mountain, so I also want to ask for a chance. If the master doesn't like it, then I'll let them disperse." And Jiang Jue becomes happy after listening to the turtle. Then he says, "It's okay, we met each other by fate, but the fate I calculated may not be as expected." And Jiang Jue is thinking, after counting, I didn't complete my daily see 3 people's fate, it looks like I've to rely on them. Then the tortoise says, "Since Sir has no problem, then I'll not be polite, please calculate my fate." And Jiang Jue was thinking, I thought why would he want to help me to cross the river without any request. He finally said his request. And the turtle is saying, "Don't blame me, sir. I know that this is a sudden request, but there's one problem that has troubled me for most of my life, and it's rare to have such an outstanding master as you. That's why I don't want to let this opportunity go, but worry, master. I traveled this river for more than 1,200 years, and there are some treasures I happen to have, which can be regarded as a token of fees for calculating the fate." And Jiang Jue says, "I don't know what problem you're facing." So the tortoise says, "Since my enlightenment, I practiced 1,200 years. I always did good deeds and virtue, and never did any kind of evil things. On both sides of Yuhua River have many of mine ancestral hall, all of which are taken care by the villagers spontaneously built, which can be regarded as incense. But 1,200 years of accomplishment I didn't made any breakthrough in my cultivation base, and my vitality and blood begun to lose, but there's not a sign of my breakthrough. What I'm asking is there a chance for me to transform into a dragon?" Jiang Jue is thinking after listening to the turtle, something is wrong. If this turtle is going to transform into a dragon, he probably has some dragon-like features on it. Apart from his big size, there aren't any features of the dragon, obviously not found at all the side of the dragon. There is a bad feeling. Then Jiang Jue says to the turtle, "I'll tell you in advance that my divination is not cheap." At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, based on my experience of calculating destiny for so many years, I'm afraid that his destiny calculation won't be very good in case it is not satisfied with the result. I won't be able to beat 12,000-year-old monster, and then I'm still riding on his back. And the tortoise says to Jiang Jue, "Just say it, sir." And Jiang Jue is thinking, it's really strange, why every person who asked me about divination is so rich. Then Jiang Jue takes out something. And the system tells Jiang Jue, is this destiny calculation of the blackback general of the Yuhua River. This calculation needs to consume 30,000 fate points. And after listening to the system, Jiang Jue is thinking, 30,000 fate points. 30,000 spirit stones can actually be exchanged for 60,000 fate points. However, for telling fate, it needs to be doubled. Then Jiang Jue says to the turtle, disclaimer in advance, the no. If days are determined by the sky, if the calculation is not good, spirit stone is not refundable, still want me to count. And Jiang Jue is thinking, this divination is very expensive. Although I collected some treasures all over the years, I really don't have that many spirit stones. Then the tortoise takes something out of its mouth and gives it to Jiang Jue. Then he says to Jiang Jue, is this 1,000 years old sapphire washed seed holy fruit enough for you? And the system tells Jiang Jue, the wonderful item, sapphire washed seed, can be exchanged for 80,000 fate points, and Jiang Jue becomes happy after holding that thing. And Jiang Jue is thinking enough. Now, there is no excuse for rejection. Then the tortoise says then please do my divination. And the system starts telling about the tortoise. At the of 0, a turtle was born in Tiannan Mountains Yuhua River at the age 60 years. He accidentally ate a sapphire lotus, and accidentally opened his wisdom, and named himself Black General. At the age of 200 years old, in Yuhua River, he devoured the blood of living beings and made rapid progress in cultivation base. At the age of 500 years old, he will be guided by the senior to wash away evil technique. After that he began plunder mortals of Wei and Qin state. A group of human races built a prostitution net. At the age of 800 years old, the little dragon of Taiqing River passed by the river of Yuhua, found out Black General's evil deeds and shot him in anger. Fortunately he escaped, however he injured his foundation and his cultivation became difficult to progress. At the age of 1201 years old, he once again tried to transform into a dragon but failed. After that he collided with the concubine of Qin state and began to plunder the refugees of human race and refine the blood pill. At the age of 1204 years old, he will meet a human fortune master, hoping for some advice. But the fortune teller's word made him angry and wanted to put the fortune teller in the bottom of Yuhua River and suppressed him for 1,000 years. Later he was rescued by an expert. The incense in the shrine will punish this turtle and died. And Jiang Jue is thinking, it's no wonder that after 1,200 years of cultivation, there is still no dragon transformation. It doesn't dare at all. It has been using the incense of the obscene shrine to cover up the secrets of the sky and avoid the catastrophe. How can it survive the catastrophe of transforming into a dragon? And the system further says, you peak the destiny. Do you want to hide the secret? You will be rewarded by the minus 30,000, 9 karma heavenly punishment. Or you want to tell the truth, penalty, merit plus 3,000, and one of the asterisk following penalties. 1 you will get his incense of evil deed technique, 2 blood pill refining technique, 3 his water controlling technique. And hearing this Jiang Jue is thinking, incense and fire becomes the way of God. Is originally the righteous way, but Wubei will be practicing in the temple of obscenity. And its perception may be very strange. The method of blood pill sacrifice and refining sounds like an evil method. TSK, the only option I can choose is supernatural power, the art of water control. And the tortoise asked Jiang Jue, Sir, am I able to transform into a dragon? So Jiang Jue says to the turtle, you may have underestimated my ability to tell fortunes with a body full of murder? You're really brave. And the turtle says, Sir, I only asked about my transform. I didn't tell you to see my other things, however you received the money. And the tortoise is thinking, how did he find out my real identity? All these years, in order to avoid the little dragon of Taichang River, I have kept a low profile. I have never seen this person, so how did he find out? Could it be that this person reached the peak of divination, so calculated it? And Jiang Jue says to that turtle, opportunity to transform into a dragon? Since you are asking for an opportunity to transform into a dragon, then I will give you this opportunity. Dragon transformation tribulation. Do you dare? And hearing this the tortoise says to Jiang Jue, what do you mean by these words, sir? So Jiang Jue says, I'm going to sacrifice my own merit in order to transform you into a dragon. And the turtle says, I kindly carried you to cross the river. This is how you repaid my kindness? Are you all human cultivators such heinous and treacherous people? Jiang Jue starts using his power, and he is saying, Disciple Jiang Jue, please pay homage to Xianxia Tianzuan. Today I heard that the old tortoise of the Yuhua River, Black General, has been cultivating for more than 1,200 years, accumulating virtue and doing good, hard work. Xianxia Tianzuan, the legendary Ortho and Ofti in charge of thunder and punishment. Good boy, I have good intentions for you, but you really dare to do that. And the turtle is surprised to see the lightning and is thinking, he really knows how to summon lightning. Who the fuck is he? Then suddenly the tortoise attacks Jiang Jue, but Jiang Jue starts using his power, and he says, "The gods are above, and the merits and virtues belong to me. You little people, how dare you harm me?" And then the tortoise stops, and he's thinking, "I can't eat him." Huolong Jia was invited by him. "If you eat him at this time, I will surely." And Jiang Jue is about to use his power on the tortoise, and is saying, "Good people have their own rewards. Those who are evil will have their own punishment. Take this." "Ha ha ha, General Black, didn't you ask me for a divination? Here today, you will be buried under the calamity of the dragon. The way of heaven is clear, and the retribution is not good." And Jiang Jue jumps over the turtle, and lightning starts falling on the turtle, due to which a very dangerous movement starts happening at that place, seeing which Jiang Jue also gets scared. But we see that the thunder lightning is stopped by the turtle's shield. And now the tortoise has started getting very angry, and he is thinking, "These incense are my accumulation for hundreds of years. I never thought I would consume so much now, but if I can just survive the dragon transformation tribulation, then everything will be worth it. The kid is surnamed Jiang, I'll take this opportunity." Then the tortoise looks towards the sky and says, "The only way to survive this tribulation is to directly face it head on. Not good." And Jiang Jue is speaking to the turtle, "The way of evil is also the way of the incense of obscene shrines, which is forbidden by our generation. Disperse." And Jiang Jue attacks the tortoise. At the same time he is thinking, "Phew, this golden light is originally made from my virtue and merit to get rid of evil concubines." And due to Jiang Jue's attack the turtle's shield breaks. But the turtle makes a strange attack, due to which nothing happens to it. Then Jiang Jue says to the turtle, My Millennium Incense, without the protection of the Millennium Incense Shrine from obscene Shireen, how can you deal with this tribulation?" And the tortoise is thinking, "This tribulation becomes a punishment from heaven, I must eat." And then the tortoise attacks Jiang Jue and says to him, "Jiang Jue, even if I'm going to die, I will definitely not let you be like this." And Jiang Jue is surprised to see the turtle attack. But then he jumps into the water, and the turtle is laughing and saying, "Ha ha ha, these blood arrows already locked your chi, you can't escape anywhere now. With the surname Jiang, with you on my back, the old man will be happy when he dies." And a huge explosion occurs at that place. Few days later, on the border of Qin State, Yuhua River. Then we see a boy, who is a prince, and he is thinking, "A few days ago, the Yuhua River suddenly flooded, and it damaged more than half of fertile land. The most fertile lands along the Yuhua River. This year, the flood happened just when the seeds were planted, and the fields were destroyed and the peoples are in a very difficult situation. After the flood, the ensuing suffering of refugees is inevitable. But right now this isn't important. The important thing is how much food is still in the treasury. If the food inside the treasury is not enough, then there's really gonna be a famine. At that time, the Qin state will become a hell on earth, and it is very likely that people are easy to eat would happen. Come to think of it, ever since that demon girl entered the palace, the Qin state has been in chaos. Is it really true that when a country is about to perish, there must be evildoers?" And then a man said to the prince, "We picked up a man from the boat. He seems to be alive, but it looks a bit strange. We obviously picked him from the river, but his clothes didn't wet at all." Then they take Jiang Jue to a room. After some time, Jiang Jue regains consciousness and gets up. At the same time he is thinking, "Where am I? Am I on a boat? Did someone pick me up from the river?" And then Jiang Jue feels something, and takes out his treasure from him. And when he sees that his treasure is broken, he becomes very sad, and he is thinking, "Sigh. My backup treasure broke like this. Ever since I was traveled to this world, my cultivation speed has been very fast. Even those disciples from the immortal sect can't compare to my cultivation speed, but these days I don't know how, but I always meet some highly skilled opponents. In addition to this broken system, the boss who wants to cut me down is definitely much more than the other big bosses who have good intentions for me, so I always chose life-saving treasure as a reward. Even my power is to escape. It's easy for me. Phew, I barely escaped. That old tortoise is really regarded as a great boss with thousands of years of cultivation. The blow he gave before he died smashed my life-saving treasure. I still have all the tails, no loss. But why do I always have a bad feeling? I'm not in some kind of crisis that hasn't been solved yet, am I? It's not because the old turtle's death blow has left me with some internal injuries, right? I didn't find any injury on my body? Then why? There is always a premonition of impending disaster? By the way, what day is today? And then the system tells Jiang Jue it detected that the host didn't do any divination for 3 days, and the minor tribulation is about to come. And Jiang Jue gets shocked after listening to the system, and he is thinking, I was in a coma for 3 days. Fortunately, it was just a minor tribulation. No, I can't survive this tribulation. I'm an 8th grade formation building realm small cultivator. Even if I have some means, I don't have the guts to face this tribulation. Calm down, calm down. I know this day will come sooner or later. That's why I already found out the way to avoid tribulation. And the way has merits. Even if it is tribulation, the merits will lower down the tribulation a lot. And the other option is to cultivate an incense method, just like that old turtle relying on incense to avoid the tribulation. It's just that this incense method is an evil method, and there's many disadvantages. And if it is the orthodox way of incense, it needs to go through sealing the god position. Once the god position is achieved, there will be an extra layer of shackles, and it is not that simple. Over the years, I have accumulated lots of merits from fortune-telling. This tribulation is way too hard to pass in the water. Moreover, I also consumed a lot of merits in order to invite the Taoist righteous god, Xiantian Lei Fa Tianzuan, for that old turtle. Then the system starts increasing Jiang Jue's merit points, and seeing this Jiang Jue gets surprised, and he is thinking, why is it still increasing? And the system tells Jiang Jue, the host gets 5,000 merit points for punishing black generals. The merit has reached 100,000, descended from the heaven, supernatural powers are self-performed. Congratulations to the host for opening the heavenly eyes, and comprehending supernatural powers, insight chi technique. And when Jiang Jue is looking at the system panel, Prince arrives at that place, due to which Jiang Jue and Prince clash with each other. And Jiang Jue is thinking while looking at the prince, he looks rich from the first look. Flat? Why does this guy look so pussy? I thought it's a woman in the disguise of a man. It looked like I misunderstood. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, thank you son for saving me. I still have something to do, so let's just leave it alone. And Jiang Jue is thinking, the doom is imminent, so I don't care about many labels and greetings. And Jiang Jue starts leaving this place, and seeing him going, the prince's elder says, young master, this man is really rude. You were kind enough to save him, but he was so to you. And looking at Prince Jiang Jue, he is thinking, this person is quite miraculous, and must not be taken lightly. Then the prince says to the elder, let's follow him and see. And as soon as Jiang Jue looks towards the sky, there is still lightning in the sky, and Jiang Jue is thinking after seeing this thing, the minor tribulation is not a thunder tribulation, but 3 tribulation like frugality, hunger, sickness, disease, sword, soldier. The 3 days of minor tribulation is not as powerful as killing people in an instant, but it is like maggots on the Tarsus, making life impossible and death impossible. And when the prince sees the thundering happening in the sky, he gets very shocked, and he is thinking, WTF is this? Just a moment ago the sky was clear, but why raining all of a sudden? The recent flood hasn't subsided yet. Another rain, the newly built dam may not be able to handle it, this year's harvest. Then Jiang Jue jumps from the ship, and seeing this thing the prince becomes even more surprised, and is thinking, this man just got out of the water, why going again? And the elder says to the prince, young master, look. He's walking on water. And seeing this, the prince also becomes very surprised, and when the prince looks ahead, he sees a bright light, due to which he is not able to see properly. We then see Jiang Jue, who uses a heavenly eye, which causes a third eye to open above his forehead. And he is thinking, this is chi luck. If I can find the treasure land of hidden dragon, feng shui, then I can use the hidden dragon feng shui to cover the sky and avoid this small 3-day calamity. This world is really unpredictable. The land of hidden dragons is way too hard to find. It's a pity that this place is far away from the Sun Moon Lake. I'm afraid even my friend won't be able to help me. Although I didn't find the hidden place of the dragon, at least I am able to find a better feng shui place for my grave. But then Jiang Jue feels something, and when he looks back, he sees a bright light, and seeing it Jiang Jue says, "Huh. Such great luck." After this the elder is speaking to the prince. The young master accepts virtuous people. If this person is a helper, it will definitely become a great help to the young master. Do you want to send someone to bring that person back? And the prince says, forget it, it would be unpleasant to force such a person. And then Jiang Jue boards the ship again, and seeing him come in front of the elder prince, he says to Jiang Jue, young master, be careful. And Jiang Jue says to both of them, hello, we will meet again. Sometime after this, Jiang Jue is saying, this strong man, look at your face is not bad, how about I tell you your fortune? I can calculate anything you want to, don't you want to try? But that man is speaking, no, we don't dare to mess with you. And they run away from Jiang Jue, and Jiang Jue is saying, bah, a bunch of ignorant things. And then the elder says to Jiang Jue, Mr. Jiang, if they see your divination, they would not avoid you like this. Then Jiang Jue greets the elder, and the elder says, Mr. Jiang has only been here for a few days, and you almost completely offended every person on this ship. And Jiang Jue says laughingly, divination is like this, and I'm just telling the truth. And the elder says, oh, the most difficult thing to listen to in this world is the truthfulness of the words. If you are not good at calculating people, you might as well be polite. Then Jiang Jue says, only talk about the mysterious area, and don't talk about the ordinary half-sentence. Don't persuade the Taoist priest. And Jiang Jue is thinking, I really want to be like those charlatans who talk to people in such a cloudy way that I can't tell whether it's good or bad. But there is no way. I must tell the truth, or I will be punished. And the elder says, the young master wants to meet you. And Jiang Jue says, oh, is he back from? Then I'll go and meet him now. And Jiang Jue is thinking, half a month has passed since I survived that tribulation, and thanks to this young master, I'm safe and sound standing here. Although I wasn't able to find the hidden dragon place, I got some luck. It looks like I have no choice but to stay close with this prince, until I have the ability to pass this tribulation. Then Jiang Jue goes to the prince and says to the prince, is the prince's problem settled now? And the prince says to Jiang Jue, well, sir, have a seat. And Jiang Jue says, these days, I'm collecting this young master. This person can be a moment of luck, naturally not ordinary people. He is the son of Emperor Qin's brother, the identity is the Prince of Qin, a person under the 10,000 people above. He has a reputation as a wise king, and likes to associate with people of ability, and has countless followers. Originally, he was an idle prince in his own peer, but the king of Qin's state had been ignoring the government for years, so he was asked by the Grand Minister to supervise the country, and temporarily live in daily life. And his current visit to Yuhua River is also to calm the floods. These days, people often complain to me about his bad-mouthing when he tells fortune, also his pitiful eyes just now. Could it be? And the prince is saying to Jiang Jue, since Mr. Jiang is unwilling, then forgets it. And Jiang Jue says to the prince is generous. And the prince says, actually, I just summoned you now because I have something that I want to tell you. My business here is finished, and I'm going back to Xianxia. So would you like to come with me, or you want to leave? And Jiang Jue says to the prince, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a living next to you. And Jiang Jue is thinking, I still need your luck to avoid the tribulation. How can I leave you now? And the prince says, of course not. That's the only good news these days. Then Jiang Jue says, I've been wanting to ask you, since I entered I've noticed that you have a stagnant air on your brow. Is something bothering you? And the prince stands up and then he says to Jiang Jue, it is nothing but the hand of disaster relief. The money and food allocated by the court is far from what I expected. I know that the food is being transported and eaten by people and horses along the way, so there must be losses, but the money will never be lost? The imperial court allocated 100,000 silver to me, but I only got 30,000 to 40,000 taels. Where did the rest of the money go? This time when I return to Xianxia, I want to ask the imperial court. And listening to the prince's words, Jiang Jue is thinking, Qin state really has something wrong, and it seems to be more serious from what I imagined. The ruler was so feckless and unscrupulous, and the officials in the court were probably not so clean either, and the disaster relief alone shows how serious the corruption was. It is true that the upper beam is not correct, and the lower beam works. Speaking of which, the Yuhua River flooded this time because of me. If I do not do anything, the karma of the living creatures will have to manage my head a share. When the merit is damaged, it will be finished. I still hope to accumulate some merit and virtue to cross the tribulation. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, Prince, do you know the reason for this sudden flood? And the prince says, Sir, you know? So Jiang Jue says, the young master sits down, and I'll tell you the whole story slowly. In this Yuhua River, lived an old turtle named Black General. And hearing this the prince says, this old demon is really evil. No wonder there are always innocent people missing along the river in all these years, so he was the one who was behind it. This kind of evil, how dare they try to seal the emperor to turn into a dragon? And Jiang Jue is thinking, why did she avoid talking about the demon princess of Qin? Then the prince says, Sir, how do you know these things? And Jiang Jue tells, the old turtle once carried me across the river, and one happened to find these things by chance. And the prince says it turned out to be a coincidence. At the same time the prince is thinking, is it really such a coincidence? That old turtle is a 1,000-year-old demon, how can he talk about his evil deeds with others? The first time I saw Jiang Jue, I fished him out of the Yuhua River. And Jiang Jue further says, wait, just said that the old turtle suddenly crossed the dragon robbery. But he also said with certainty that the back of the crow will die undoubtedly. Seems that the old fish died under the sky robbery, and Mr. Jiang must be related. And the prince says, you are really a powerful person. And Jiang Jue says, what you are worried about is just money and food, so I will do this as a token to help you. And hearing this the prince says, how can I let you spend money? And Jiang Jue says laughingly, haha, I have nothing. If you expect me to provide money and food, I am not able to do so. And the prince says, Mr. Jiang thinks. Then Jiang Jue whispers in the prince's ear, so many years, the old turtle has abducted a lot of people from the Wei and Qin state for the purpose of cultivating incense in the shrine, and raised them in the Tiannan mountains. There is also food, and it has been accumulated over the years, which is enough to meet the urgent needs of the young master. The old turtle served under the heavenly punishment. The cave in the water will have no master. The cave has accumulated 1,000 years of treasures converted into silver money, to buy food from the gentry along the river, but also enough for the disaster relief. And as soon as the prince hears this, he becomes very happy and he says, this is a very good method, Mr. Jiang. This is 1,000 years of merit. And Jiang Jue says smilingly, I don't know if I can get into the eyes of the young master if I use this to vote for the name certificate below. At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, those grains and treasures are all that I have seen throughout the life of the Black General when I calculated its destiny. I didn't expect it to be handy at this critical time. And the prince places his hand on Jiang Jue's shoulder, and says to him, I thank sir on behalf of the people of Qin. In this way, the people will be saved. Without further ado, let's go. After this the scene shifts and we see.Tu Shanlan. And.Tu Shanlan's servant is saying to her, Master, below is the Sun-Moon Lake. Then.Tu Shanlan says to the dragon, Come out, old dragon king. And we see a golden dragon, which transforms into human form. Then he is saying, Run, it turns out that the Lord of Heaven wants to meet me. The old dragon, Aoshuan, has seen the Lord of Heaven, but I don't know what brings you here. And.Tu Shanlan shows Jiang Jue's picture and asks the dragon, Did you happen to see this person? And looking at Jiang Jue's picture, the dragon is thinking, Isn't this person Jiang Jue? Then the dragon said to.Tu Shanlan, This man's name is Jiang Jue, and he came to me to borrow some books for half a year, and we also had good conversation, so we were regarded as friends. By any chance is my friend offended by the Lord of Heaven? And.Tu Shanlan says, What if I am offended? So what if I am not offended? So the dragon says laughingly, Can the Lord of Heavenly Demons give the old dragon a little pace? And Tu Shanlan says, what if I don't give it? And the dragon says with a serious look, if the heavenly demon lord insists, that is also my little friend's fate. However, if the heavenly demon lord wants to deal with him, I'm afraid it will not be easy. And Tu Shanlan becomes serious after listening to the dragon. Then she says, are you threatening me? Then the dragon turns back, and says to Rina, it's not that I want to protect my little friend, it's that my little friend is extraordinary. If the heavenly demon lord wants to touch him, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of karma. He is the great power. When great power comes, the sky changes. And listening to the dragon's words, Tu Shanlan is thinking, the words have a hidden edge. This old dragon over the years immersed in gossip and studies. This talk has also become incomprehensible. And Tu Shanlan tells the dragon, that's good, only an extraordinary person is worthy to be my husband. And as soon as the dragon hears this, he becomes very confused. And this part begins. And Tu Shanlan is talking to the dragon, since you are familiar with this little divination master from the human race, do you know his origins? And the dragon says, it cannot be said or said. And Tu Shanlan asks the dragon to explain, then the dragon tells, Lao Long's hexagram study was not accurate, and he could not figure out its origins. He could only calculate that 5 years ago, there was no such person as Jiang Jue in this world. And the servant whispers into Tu Shanlan's ear, could this Jiang Jue be an immortal from heaven? And the dragon is speaking, he who can jump out of the 3 realms and is not in the 5 elements is a truly expert person. Then Tu Shanlan says, where did the immortal come from in this world? At the same time Tu Shanlan is thinking, I didn't care much about this little human trigram master, but I didn't expect Ao Xian to think so highly of him. After this the scene shifts. And we see Jiang Jue, who is going somewhere in a horse cart. And then he sneezes and he's thinking, who is scolding me behind my back? Forget it, with my mouth, there have been many people scolding me behind my back, and now the horse carriage stops. And some people are saying, in front of Mr. Jiang is Xianxia City. We have arrived at the right place. And Jiang Jue starts looking outside and saying, I have been sitting on the carriage for 4 or 5 days, and I am almost stupid. It's strange that there are no pedestrians or carriages on the official road in the capital of a country in broad daylight. Logically speaking, the emperor's feet are the most prosperous place, and there should be many carriages and horses, but there shouldn't be. Eyes of heaven, open! I want to see what the fate of the capital of Qin is like. This is true, and Jiang Jue sees that a red dragon is flying in the air over his country. And Jiang Jue is surprised to see this. But then that red dragon is looking at Jiang Jue. And seeing this, sweat starts falling from Jiang Jue's forehead. And he is thinking, is it looking at me? No matter how weak the Qin state is, there is no shortage of monks in the country who are more powerful than me. It must be a misunderstanding. I am not even a native of Qin, how could I attract attention to the fate of the country? So should I enter Xianxia City? The national destiny of the Qin state has obviously been extremely weak, and it is feared that the country's collapse is imminent. I heard that there is a demon concubine causing trouble in the palace. If I enter Xianxia City and work as a retainer next to the young master, I am afraid I will be involved. But what should I do if I secretly leave the Shaosen disaster? For a while, I couldn't find another person who would be willing to lend me my luck once it came my way. That's all, let's go into the city. People should not be unlucky all the time. When the great master is unlucky, I will just run away. Then as soon as people see the prince, some people start saying, the young master is back in town. Thank you for your hard work, sir. And Jiang Jue is looking ahead and thinking, I just said that when the young master was about to enter the city. Why did he not ride in a horse-drawn carriage but ride a horse? However, the young master is indeed a rare person who does practical things. The queen has been personally involved in the disaster relief work this time, and she is a very good person who works hard. After some time, Jiang Jue reaches the prince's palace. And he is looking around, and thinking, over the years, I have been to many places that are rare for ordinary people to see, but this is the first time I have entered the prince's mansion in the human world. Then the prince says to Jiang Jue, if your husband likes it, just take it. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, how can I win the young master's love? And the prince is saying to Jiang Jue, my husband and I don't want to be so outspoken, just take it if you like it, no problem. I will go to the palace tomorrow to see the Holy Spirit. This time, the floods can be quelled, Mr. Lai. Complete your husband's contribution to the country. I will go to the palace tomorrow to ask for an official position and title for him. But Jiang Jue says to the prince, no, 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 don't. I'm used to wandering around in the clouds and wild cranes. I may wander around again one day. It is absolutely impossible to become an official in the court. But Jiang Jue is thinking, just kidding, the Qin kingdom is about to be destroyed. Wouldn't it be foolish to become an official in the DPRK at this juncture? What's more, the place where factions fight in court is so dangerous. It's still important for me to survive. Then the prince says to Jiang Jue, since my husband has said so, I won't force it. But Mingji enters the palace, and I would like to ask the civil and military officials of the entire dynasty. If their hearts were cut open, how many of them would be black and how many would be white? And Jiang Jue says to the prince, young master, the hearts of good and bad people are all red. And the prince says to Jiang Jue, in any case, if there is no Mr. Qin this time, I am afraid that Qin will not be able to recover in 5 years. Then Jiang Jue says, it is also because of this incident that I can see the corruption matter clearly. This matter must be investigated strictly. I understand that after entering the palace, I will go to the Grand Master to discuss it. And Jiang Jue is thinking, after the tribulation is over, I have to hurry up. And Prince says to Jiang Jue, what do you think, sir? And Jiang Jue says, the young master is right. Then the prince says, it seems that my husband really doesn't like this matter in the court, and it's me, Meng Lang. Mr. Zhou, sir, you have been working hard from traveling and traveling, so please go and rest first. I will prepare a banquet for you in the evening and please give me your respect. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, thank you for your consideration, sir. Then Jiang Jue starts leaving this place. And as he is going ahead, the elder from the front enters the room. Then the elder says to the prince, I've seen the young master. May I ask Mr. Jiang, what do you say? And the prince says, it seems that Mr. Jiang's ambition is not in the temple. And the elder says to the prince, young master, Mr. Jiang is an ordinary person, but he doesn't show his magical powers around the young master. We don't know where he came from, so please be careful, young master. And the prince looks towards the sky and says, I see. After this we look at night time. And many people gather in the hall, and the prince is speaking to them, don't be constrained by yourselves. Thank you very much for sharing my worries. And Jiang Jue is also present in this banquet party, and he is having fun. At the same time he is saying, why are there so many people? Are the 300 to 500 people in this palace all the young master's disciples? After accepting so many freeloaders, isn't this a real ripoff? Then an elder says to Jiang Jue, naturally, the prince has 3,000 disciples under his command, but most of them are in the fief, and not all of them followed the prince to Xianxia. And Jiang Jue says to that elder, how can there be so many talented people in this world? At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, but aren't I just eating free food next to the young master? If you are still a soft rice, don't talk about others. Even though there are so many people and I can rely on the master's luck to hide the secrets of heaven and deceive the heavenly catastrophe, I still have to complete the daily target. It's just right, it's enough. After this the scene shifts, and now Jiang Jue is sleeping in his room. But then something red starts approaching Jiang Jue. And that thing goes inside Jiang Jue's mind. Then that thing starts calling Jiang Jue. And Jiang Jue opens his eyes in his inner space. At the same time he is very surprised, and is saying, I'm still here in a dream, or already awake? And then the same red dragon arrives at that place, seeing which Jiang Jue gets surprised. And Jiang Jue is asking that dragon, who is he? But that dragon is not saying anything to Jiang Jue. Then after a while, Jiang Jue learns something about him. And Jiang Jue is thinking, Qin's national destiny? It turns out that it was indeed watching me at that time, and it was not my illusion that it is now looking for me in a dream? Then he says to Dragon Jiang Jue, "Sir, please don't be alarmed. I am the result of the fate of the Qin state, and I am not a monster." And Jiang Jue is saying, "Why did the red dragon enter the dream?" And the red dragon is speaking to Jiang Jue, "Please help me, sir." Then Jiang Jue says to Dragon, "How can I save a country's fortune as a mountain cultivator?" And the dragon said to Jiang Jue, "Sir, I was humble. On that day on the Yuhua River, Mr. Yuhua River punished evil on behalf of heaven. I saw it with my own eyes. I did not intentionally peek into the territory of Qin state. I know all the matters by myself. Sir, don't be surprised. It's okay, no problem. Your husband is a man of great merit, and I appreciate his extraordinary qualities, so I took the liberty of coming here to ask for your help." And Jiang Jue is thinking after listening to the dragon's words, this Qin country's national destiny is quite good at flattering people. And the dragon says further, "Mr. Jiang, who has countless entangled lines of cause and effect, is all a rare lucky person. But this person himself has no cause and effect and is not in the three realms. He jumps out of the five elements, and has the appearance of an immortal. If you don't take action, I'm afraid that Qin will be destroyed soon. Please remember the common people of Qin." And after listening to all the words of the dragon, Jiang Jue is asking him, "You asked me for help, but how can I help?" So the dragon tells Jiang Jue, the state of Qin was in such a state of decline all because of the evil concubine who entered the palace and confused the king's mind. And Jiang Jue is asking the dragon about that demon, what is the origin of that demon concubine, so that she can shake the foundation of a country. And the dragon tells Jiang Jue about that demon. The demon concubine's roots came from the kingdom of 10,000 demons, and she was a jade stone, the kingdom of 10,000 monsters. And Jiang Jue is thinking, I'm afraid my future child, his mother-in-law Tu Shanlan, is still looking for me everywhere. Forget it, I don't want to think about this anymore. Then Jiang Jue says to the dragon, what kind of cultivation is that demon concubine? Are you actually unable to do anything about the fate of your country? And the dragon says to Jiang Jue, she came to Qin to survive the catastrophe of heaven and earth. And Jiang Jue is thinking, cultivation is done against nature and must go through various calamities. As for demon cultivators, it is rarer than humans to experience the two catastrophes of earth and heaven. The demon cultivators who can endure this level of cultivation are as strong as the powerful human beings. This is not something I, a small 8th level monk in the foundation building realm, can mess with. Affordable. And the dragon says to Jiang Jue, I also know that Sir is in a dilemma. I don't want to ask Sir to take action to eliminate the demon. I just have another thing to ask Sir. And listening to the dragon's words, Jiang Jue is thinking, now that the red dragon is in a dream, I don't know how to leave this dream, so I can only listen. Then Jiang Jue says to the dragon, just tell me what's going on. But I'm really weak and I'm afraid I can't help you. And the dragon says to Jiang Jue, only Sir can help me in this matter. Now that the leader of the country has lost his virtue for a long time, I know that Mr. Shi is an expert in Bagua, and so I invite you to choose another Ming leader for Qin. These two things were delivered to Mr., and the dragon takes out 2 treasures from his mouth. And Jiang Jue gets very surprised after seeing her, and the dragon is telling Jiang Jue, this jade seal gathers the dragon veins of a country, and the person who holds this seal will be the future master of Qin. Please, Sir, take care of it. If you meet a wise master, entrust it to him. This is a judgment of crime, an arbitrary decision to waste karma in this life, beheading the faint king from above, and beheading the evil king from below. If the king of Qin is not a king, it is a matter of destiny to kill him. Nowadays, the king of Qin state is immoral and immoral, so I can help you, Sir. This thing is a must, and looking at those 2 treasures, Jiang Jue is thinking, does this mean that the fate of Qin is in my hands? This is too tricky. Then the dragon says to Jiang Jue, giving these 2 things to my husband is not forcing him to agree. If you don't want to help, Sir, it's Qin's destiny. If you are willing to help, I am willing to give you half of Qin's national fortune. From now on, Qin will be your Qin, and you will also be the pillar of Qin. And the dragon uses its power, and leaves Jiang Jue's inner space. And then Jiang Jue wakes up, and his head is hurting. But when he looks in front of him, there are the same two treasures lying near him, seeing which Jiang Jue is thinking, I am just an 8th grade monk, not even a native of the Qin state. Why did the Qin state's national destiny entrust these two things to me? Doesn't that make sense? Just because I punished that Yuwajiang old turtle? Or is it because I am good at hexagrams? So what did Chiron see in me that made him make such a desperate decision? Give half of the country's destiny to Mr. From now on, Mr. Qin will be the pillar of the country. I just wanted to use the young master to avoid the misfortune of my mistress. Why did this happen to me? It's all bullshit. If the king of Qin knew that I had these two things, he would have to cut me off or make me peel off my skin. There is also a demon concubine whose cultivation level is at least the earthly evil realm. Ah! So annoying! But the red dragon said it would protect me from disasters. Now I really no longer feel like my energy is being locked by the tribulation. It seems that it didn't lie to me. Now that the misfortune of my mistress has been resolved, I no longer need to rely on the master's luck. Can I run away now? Instead of risking his life and staying in Qin, it would be better to leave as soon as possible. Wouldn't it be nice to find a corner of a chair where no one can find me, and stay there for 1,000 years until I have the strength to push Tu Shanlan down on the bed and spank her? Throat, it feels really bad to eat someone's soft mouth. That's it, just do your best. But once danger is felt, it's not my fault. It shouldn't be a big problem to run away immediately then. I have the experience of successfully escaping from the demon king of the 10,000 monster kingdom. These two things cannot be seen by others and must be hidden. If I want to fulfill the mission of Qin State's national destiny, I need to meet other royal family members of Qin State. However, with my status, I am afraid that no one may see me even if they come to ask for an audience. Let's just let it happen. Half a month later and we see King Qin Wuju in Qinan. And there is a very beautiful female at that place. The jade essence of the 10,000 monsters kingdom has Su Xian. And Su Xian is saying, who made the king so angry? And the king says to Su Xian, who else could it be? Since I am a widower, I am a good, younger brother, Qin Nasi Si actually attack the people with the Grand Master in the court hall. No one is allowed to build a leopard house. In the Qin state, are they the kings, or are they the kings? No matter what I do, I still have to look at their faces. It's so deceiving. And Su Xian said to the king, don't worry, your majesty. This leopard house is just a joke. If you don't build it, it won't be built. Why embarrass your majesty? And the king says, if everyone was as considerate and reasonable as my beloved concubine, they would die without regrets. And then a maid comes to that place and the king says to that maid, what's the matter? And the maid tells the king, King Chimu and two people outside the camp wanted to see the empress, so they sent a token. And after listening to the maid's words, the king says the empress presents it. Concubine, what's wrong? Then the maid gives the present to the king, and Su Xian is saying to the king, your majesty, my concubine's family is here. I will come as soon as I go, my concubine. And the king says to Su Xian, oh? Then invite me quickly. After this the scene shifts, and we see that Tu Shanlan's servant has come to that place. And Su Xian is greeting that servant, and she is saying, there is the Su family who has met Lord Xianxia. And the servant says to Su Xian, I haven't heard this title for a long time, Jianxianjun. Now in this world, without Lord Xianxia, only the demon Lord Demon Xiajin serves as the sword's slave. Although your excellency has been defeated by the heavenly demon lord, the heavenly demon lord is an immortal figure. Even though your excellency has been defeated, he is still glorious and his illustrious reputation remains. I have admired this concubine for a long time. When I saw you today, I felt frightened. I just don't know why you are looking for this concubine. And Su Xian is thinking, the two groups of human beings and monsters have signed a treaty with the Jinsha River, as the boundaries since ancient times, and they will not invade each other. Now that I have entered the Qin kingdom, I have violated the precepts. I am afraid that the devil will order me to go back. If that's the case, I won't be willing to do it. Now I am facing the calamity of earthly evil, and the only way to overcome the calamity is to take the luck of the dragon vein of this dynasty. Otherwise, I will definitely die. I can't leave. Then the servant says to Su Xian, don't worry too much, you still can't enter my lord's Dharma eyes. I'm looking for you today to ask for your help in finding someone. And Su Xian says to the servant, my lord, I just hope that if the person you are looking for is in the Qin kingdom, I will turn the Qin kingdom upside down and find it for you. And the servant shows Jiang Jue's picture to Su Xian and tells her, this person's name is Jiang Jue and his cultivation level is unknown, but he escaped with his life from the Demon Lord. And as soon as Su Xian hears this, she gets very shocked and she says, escaped with your life from the Demon Lord? At the same time she is thinking, what kind of cultivation would it take to be able to escape with one's life? The land of the two races of humans and demons can only be counted within 5 fingers. Why have I never heard of such a person? And the servant is saying to Su Xian, he borrowed the talisman from the Dragon King of Sun Moon Lake, so his own strength may not be that high. And Su Xian says, I see. And she is thinking, the Dragon King of Sun Moon Lake is the oldest demon sage in the 10,000 demon kingdom. People often compare him to the Demon Lord, but no one can compare him with his strength and weakness. After all, he never competes for power. This Jiang Jue must have a close relationship with the old dragon if he can obtain its talisman. If you can befriend such a person, how weak can you be? And the servant further says, although this person's cultivation level is unknown, he has some supernatural powers. The appearance in the portrait may not be accurate. Maybe it is normal for him to have changed his appearance and walk around the world. And Su Xian says to the servant, sir, do you have the mark of this person's spiritual consciousness? And Su Xian is thinking, a monk's appearance and body can be changed, but the mark of his spiritual consciousness will not change unless all 7 souls and 6 souls are changed. And the servant says, no, but this person knows it well and is good at hexagrams. When I was doing divination for others, I used to put up a pair of commentaries that only talked about mysteries and nothing ordinary. Then Su Xian says, sir, is that all? And the servant says, only these. And Su Xian is thinking, how can I find someone with only this information? Although there are portraits, there are countless magical powers and spells that can be used to change one's appearance, and a cultivator knows how to use them both. As for that batch of words, it's even more of a joke. What if the hexagram master is changed? The only truly useful information is that the other party is a divination master, and is good at fortune-telling. And Su Xian says laughingly, the concubine knows. At the same time she is thinking, with these messages, trying to find the other party is like looking for a needle in a haystack. After sending this great god away, just pretend you didn't hear about it. Then the servant says, if we can find this person, my lord will grant me a place in the 10,000 demonic abyss. And hearing this, Su Xian gets a little surprised and she says, sir? Seriously? These words, and the servant says to Su Xian, what my lord himself said is no joke. And Su Xian is thinking, if I could enter the 10,000 demonic abyss once, and no longer have to worry about the double calamity of heaven and earth, I would definitely become the Demon King. This Jiang Jue must be found no matter what. And Su Xian is talking to the servant, please rest assured, sir, that I will do my best to find and beat this person. Then the servant says that would be the best. If I find ginger, I will crush it and I will know immediately. And Su Xian says, yes, my lord. And the servant is thinking that Jiang Jue is not necessarily in the Qin kingdom, but may be found in the 3 kingdoms of Wei, Qin, and Zhao. I have already been to Wei State and now to Qin State, and I will go to Zhao State immediately to ask the demon clan of Zhao State to help find Jiang Jue, and after this the scene shifts. And the king is saying to Su Xian, my beloved concubine, I am in a good mood when I see you, but is it because you have met your mother's family? Wrong, why don't you see my beloved concubine and your mother's family? I still want to meet you. And Su Xian says to King, Your Majesty, it's just that my mother's family asked someone to send me a letter from home. After delivering it I left. Your Majesty, can I ask you a favor? And the king says, my beloved concubine only mentions it, and everyone agrees. So Su Xian says recently, I have often dreamed that an immortal taught me the magical elixir. I want to refine this elixir for the king. It's a pity that I don't know the Chihuang elixir technique. Can the king recruit some experts from outside the country to help refine the elixir? And the king says, immortal in dream? What did the immortal say? And Su Xian says, Your Majesty, the immortal said that this elixir can make your Majesty happier. And the king starts laughing and saying, Ha ha ha, do ye I fei. Then Su Xian says, Your Majesty is so kind. By the way, I also want to invite some hexagram masters who are good at Bagua Yi to interpret my dream. And the king says, It's just a trivial matter, so I let others do it. After this the scene shifts. And we see Jiang Jue, who is going somewhere, and he is thinking, nowadays life has settled down, and the people who eat like Changban Compass have been reorganized. I have to find a suitable place to tell fortunes at a divination stall. I thought there were many people in the young master's house, and 3 a day would be enough for me to last for a year and a half. Reality. I didn't expect that everyone was afraid of me in just a few days. But it's a fact that no one in their family will be able to have a good death in the future. To tell the truth, do you blame me? People nowadays really can't afford to be hit. A true warrior who dares to face a bleak life. It seems that there are no warriors among the people around the young master. I once looked up to the young master, but I looked without the appearance of a golden eagle. So I always avoided deducing her destiny. Combined with the results of deducing the fate of the people in the house these days, we can see that there are 3,000 guests in the house. Among the guests, there are even old farmers from the countryside. In the eyes of others, they are just a joke. But I'm afraid that the young master is trying to deceive others. There are a group of truly talented people hidden among these guests. The secrets of these people are not enough for my eyes and ears. From this point of view, this young man's plans are not small. It's just that she has no appearance of a golden eagle. Some eagles are birds and dragons are scale insects. How can a long eagle transform into a dragon? Looking at all the people who come to her house, Tianming throats, the future is not optimistic. Now that I no longer have to worry about the 3-day calamity, is it time to leave? If there are many people here, choose this place. I'm lucky, but I have no companions, so here I am. And Jiang Jue sets up his shop and sits down, and some people are looking at Jiang Jue. And seeing them looking at him, Jiang Jue is thinking, what are you watching? Haven't you seen a handsome guy? Then a man says to Jiang Jue, Taoist priest, close the stall quickly, it's not a busy place. And Jiang Jue says to that man, old man, how do you say this? Could it be that the government doesn't allow a divination stall to be set up here? But the man says, leave from here quickly. And Jiang Jue is thinking, what happened then? Just then 2 soldiers come to Jiang Jue and say to Jiang Jue, get out of the way, get out of the way. Are you telling fortunes here? And Jiang Jue says to those 2 soldiers, sir, I don't know where the divination stall is allowed to be set up, so I'm going to leave now. I also asked the official to make it easier. And Jiang Jue is thinking, in this world, the king of hell is easy to meet and the devil is difficult to deal with. Let's spend money to eliminate disasters. Then a soldier says to Jiang Jue, you are quite sensible. And the second soldier is looking at the picture and saying, this person does not look like the one in the portrait. He is probably not the Taoist priest named Jiang Jue that the imperial concubine was looking for. Let me see. And Jiang Jue is thinking, Jiang Jue? Are you looking for the princess? Isn't she that demon concubine? Let me go. She is from the kingdom of 10,000 demons. She is definitely not up to anything good when she comes to me. She must be related to the Demon Lord of that day. But even if you are looking for me, you don't have to paint me so ugly, right? This is no longer human. It really doesn't look like it. Later I learned that one of the portraits Su Xian got looked quite like me, but that was how it was when someone repainted it. Then the soldier says to Jiang Jue, a little Taoist priest, let me ask you, what is your surname, and where do you practice? And Jiang Jue says to that soldier, Zhang Daoling, who practiced cultivation in Longhu Mountain, was just a traveling alchemist. Then the second soldier says, Longhu Mountain, never heard of it, and Jiang Jue is thinking, you must have never heard of it. I guess I can get through it. Then the soldier says, take it away. And as soon as he hears it from Jiang Jue, he gets shocked. And he is thinking, you've already received the money, and yet you're still like this. Then the soldier says this. Now the emperor invites the world's enlightened people to enter the palace to refine the elixir. It's your blessing to invite you to come. Don't toast or eat as a penalty. And Jiang Jue is looking at those people and also thinking, what kind of please is this? I rarely took a trip to the street, and I unexpectedly encountered this unthinkable disaster. Hurry up, these little shrimps can't stop me anyway. And Jiang Jue takes out the talisman, but when he sees it in front, he gets shocked. And then both the soldiers tie him with a rope. And the soldier is saying, error? What are you doing, sir? What nonsense! Go now! And Jiang Jue is being taken along with those prisoners. And Jiang Jue is thinking, if it weren't for saving you, I would have run away. Then Jiang Jue says to Taoist Chui, Taoist Cui, what a coincidence. You were also caught leaving your house today? Why don't you reveal your identity? And Taoist Chui says, it's useless to be bright. The palace sent people to the palace to visit the guests, but more than half of them were arrested. And I was invited by name. And Jiang Jue is thinking, this Taoist Cui is like the chief steward of the young master's house. He assists the young master in handling internal and external affairs and is invited by the palace by name. Isn't this a slap in the young master's face? And Taoist Chui is telling, the emperor's alchemy refining this time may seem absurd, but I'm afraid his intention is for my lord. Mr. Jiang must remember not to expose his relationship with the young master to ensure safety. I understand, it's just, and Jiang Jue is very surprised to hear Taoist Chui's words, and he is thinking, the demon concubine sent someone to change Taoist priests into the palace to refine elixirs in Xianxia City. She wanted to find Jiang Jue by name, but she used this matter to go to the prince's mansion. Did she know that I was in the prince's mansion? Or is it just a coincidence? Then a soldier is saying, who is Taoist Cui from Prince N's mansion? Your Majesty, please come. Then they reach near the palace. And Taoist Chui is coming out, and he is looking back at Jiang Jue, and at the same time he is thinking, be sure not to reveal your identity. I know. Then a maid is speaking to them, and the empress has ordered that all Taoist priests be invited to the palace to help refine the elixir. Please go to the back garden and listen to Hope. And the maid is taking them to another place, and she is saying, this will loosen everyone's ties, and Jiang Jue and those people are opened up, and Jiang Jue is thinking, this palace maid is a demon, and her cultivation level is still low. I can tell that there must be experts in the civil and military affairs of this Manchu dynasty. Can't you tell? And the maid is using her power, and Jiang Jue is thinking, or did you say you saw it but didn't dare to say it? It seems that the demon concubine really covers the sky with one hand. Then the maid opens the way to a cave and is speaking to them, come in, everyone. Don't try any tricks, just come with me. And they all start going inside the cave. And Jiang Jue is surprised to see that place, and he is thinking, there are strict restrictions here, so it's not that easy to escape. I thought that I couldn't find the demon concubine, but when she came back to see Wei, I automatically sent her to my door. Is this such a good thing? But what to do? After this the scene shifts and we see the prince, and he is speaking to a minister. I would like to ask my father-in-law to inform you again. And the minister is speaking to the prince, Your Majesty, please be at ease. Your Majesty has many things to do every day. He is busy handling state affairs and may not be able to finish it in a while. If Your Majesty cannot wait any longer, you can go back first. And the prince is thinking, this is where the emperor and I grew up together, and my mother is still here. It was only after the emperor's brother ascended the throne that I left the palace and opened a mansion, and I have never been here again. At that time, I didn't expect that I would be occupied by that demon concubine now. This jujube tree at that time, the emperor was not like he is now. He studied scriptures diligently and learned the 6 arts of a gentleman, and he treated me very well. My father didn't allow me to go up the tree to pick dates, so he climbed up and picked them for me. The empress invites the prince into the palace now. this jujube tree has been chopped down by the demon concubine Yusu to make tables and chairs. My brother and our love is no longer what it used to be. And the prince also sees Su Xian and is thinking, this enchanting concubine has been in the palace for so long that I didn't know that she was also proficient in music and could play the piano with such great skills. And Su Xian said to the prince, I had just acquired this piece of music, so I was not familiar with it, which made the prince laugh. And the prince is saying, I heard that the empress received a teaching from an immortal in her dream and invited all the Taoists from all over the world to come to the palace to refine elixirs for her? And Su Xian is saying, did the prince also hear about it? And the prince says, today, the royal guards entered the palace and kidnapped my retainers. How could I not hear about it? And Su Xian is saying, oh, it seems that this is the case. The visitors to the prince's mansion are mostly strangers with extraordinary abilities. The refining of the elixir this time will surely go much smoother with the help of the guests of the prince's mansion. Just talking about the concubine named Cui Taoist Master Tianyin Mountain Baiyu who is beside the prince. It would be difficult for a 5th grade Zhou Tian realm monk to find a few such masters even if he searched all over the Qin kingdom, right? And the prince is thinking, even among my disciples, few knew the identity of Tao Cui, but she unexpectedly revealed it. Has she found out about me? And Su Xian extends her hand towards the prince and says to him, I heard that the prince is proficient in music, and I happen to like it too. How about the prince teaching me how to play the piano? And the prince says to Su Xian, are you humiliating me? And Su Xian says, why did the prince say that? I am asking for advice with an open mind. This may mean that I let him go when he was in a good mood. And the prince says, are you serious about letting him go? Then Su Xian says, today, the prince teaches me how to behave, and I will let Master Baiyu leave the palace with you. And the prince says, okay. Here comes someone at the same time the prince is thinking, there is not even a single maid in the Chuxing palace. There are only Su Xian and I in the entire palace. Then Su Xian says to the prince might as well put it into the account and not have to ask anyone to bring the piano over again. My harp is one of the 10, phoenix tail. How can an ordinary harp have such a sound? And the prince says, okay, then I will take credit. And the prince is thinking, what was she trying to do with this look? But there's nothing to be afraid of. And the prince starts coming forward and Su Xian is thinking after seeing the prince, did he get in so easily? Is he really calm and happy? Or has he been attracted to me for a long time and wishes he could be like this? And then Su Xian catches the prince and says to him, the sheet music is here, but the prince pushes Su Xian away. And we see that Su Xian Ismail is doing it. But then something starts happening to the prince, and Su Xian holds the prince, and she is saying, I know that you, a wise king, don't approach women in concubine, so if you are not prepared, why would you let me come? This incense burner is dyed with aphrodisiac fragrance, so I'm not afraid that you won't be emotional. He is a handsome person, but unfortunately he always makes things difficult for me. I blew my pillow away from your brother, and he was reluctant to kill you. This time, I helped him make up his mind. Why is this young man's body so light and as light as a woman's? I heard that this wise king is not flirtatious with women, wouldn't I? Damn it, how could she really be a woman? How could she be a woman? I originally wanted to seduce her, but even if the seduction failed, I would always succeed by framing her. Then I would let Qin Wujun kill her. But what to do now? Qin Wujun must know that she is a girl. Don't think I can't deal with you like this. And then the maid comes to that place, and she says, someone come. And Su Xian is saying, what do you hope for? The more ugly and disgusting it is, the better. And the maid says, yes, Empress. After this the scene shifts, and we see Jiang Jue, who is sitting at that place, and he is thinking, if it is what Cui Daoang said, it seems that many of the disciples in the prince's house have been arrested this time. But I didn't see those people along the way. It seems they are not locked up here. However, the demon concubine is looking for me by name. These retainers are just friends with me. If they recognize me, they might sell me. The demon concubine will definitely do something bad when she comes to me, so I have to be on my guard. Then Jiang Jue says to a man, this Taoist priest, I would like to change clothes with you, okay? And the man says, yes, of course. And Jiang Jue is thinking, is there such a good thing? The silk and satin he wears can be used as a lot of silver. Then Jiang Jue changes his clothes and goes to the soldier and says to him, I want convenience. And the soldier looks at Jiang Jue for a while and says to him, go quickly, go quickly. And Jiang Jue starts going ahead, and as he goes ahead, he starts smelling a very bad smell, and he is saying, I go. It stinks to death. But Jiang Jue takes out a pill from him and eats it, and he is thinking, don't care. And as soon as Jiang Jue eats that pill, his entire appearance changes, and he is thinking, alive, don't shiver. Compared to saving your life, being dirty and smelly is nothing. Then Jiang Jue starts moving forward, and he is looking here and there. And he is thinking, now, even a young master will definitely not recognize me, not to mention the hangers-on who have only met me a few times. And then a maid sees Jiang Jue and says to him, you stop, turn around. The palace maid being sought, then Jiang Jue looks back and says to the maid, hey, miss, are you calling me? And the maid says to Jiang Jue, shut up and come with me. And Jiang Jue is following the maid, and he is thinking, I probably didn't reveal my secret, otherwise she would have called people to arrest me. Then Jiang Jue says to the maid, hey, little sister, what are we going to do? And the maid says to Jiang Jue, don't ask, it's a good thing anyway, a huge good thing. And Jiang Jue is thinking, what exactly does she want to do by finding a pickpocket? A man must not have made up his mind, so he might as well find an opportunity to slip away. Then the maid says to Jiang Jue, wait here. And Jiang Jue is thinking, since there isn't even a guard here, run away. But then Jiang Jue feels something, and we see that something is staring at Jiang Jue, and Jiang Jue feels this thing, and he is thinking, such a strong aura, my energy has been locked. Then someone says to the maid, you have found a wonderful man. Take him there. And Jiang Jue is thinking, the one who was so angry could only be the demon concubine. The aura was so powerful, but luckily she didn't recognize me. And the maid says to Jiang Jue, follow me. And the maid asks Jiang Jue to go inside, and the maid kicks Jiang Jue's buttocks and sends him inside. And as soon as Jiang Jue goes inside, he is thinking, the door is locked, what on earth do you want? What does it smell like, so fragrant? And then something starts happening to Jiang Jue, and Jiang Jue is saying, there's something wrong with this fragrance. Could it be that the demon concubine wants to pull me into bed to warm me up? This sounds familiar. And as soon as Jiang Jue looks at the curtain, he sees the prince. And Jiang Jue gets very shocked after seeing her. Young master? Then we see the prince, and Jiang Jue is looking at the prince and saying, she usually wears men's clothes and you can't tell that she is a beauty. This love poison is so powerful that she can hardly bear it anymore. That demon concubine is really poisonous. He gave her a scent and even found someone to ruin her innocence. Please bear with me, sir. Everything I do next is to save you. I have a life-saving device on me that is just right for the current situation. But before that, I had to untie the cloth and take a drop of blood from her finger. Why is this cloth so tightly wrapped? Untied. I'm so exhausted. Then Jiang Jue falls on Prince's hand and is checking Navis. And as soon as Jiang Jue holds the prince's hand, the prince gradually starts regaining consciousness. And he opens his eyes, and Jiang Jue gets a little shocked to see the prince conscious. And Jiang Jue is not able to say anything, and he is thinking, it's so big. Doesn't it hurt when I wear it normally? And then the prince catches Jiang Jue, and is looking at her lovingly, and saying, come on. Come on. And Jiang Jue is telling Prince to remain quiet, but Prince makes Jiang Jue quiet. And the prince is looking at her very lovingly, and is also touching her. But don't know what is going to happen with Jiang Jue now? Prince is no longer completely in control, but then Prince touches some private part of Jiang Jue, due to which Jiang Jue is saying to Prince, wait, you can't touch there. After all, I am a man. If you keep doing this, I will no longer be a man. But then Prince becomes unconscious again, and Jiang Jue takes out a pill from him, and Jiang Jue is saying, young master, This is Miaojiang poisonous poison. It was given to me by Yixiangho. This poison is so poisonous in adulthood that no one except the 4th grade Xianquan realm can withstand it. However, when this voodoo is young, it can swallow hundreds of poisons in the world. I will use this voodoo to detoxify the young master's love poison. To use this goo, I need a drop of your heart blood to feed it, master, so that it can enter your body without hurting master or you. And Jiang Jue is using his power, and as soon as Jiang Jue touches the prince's back, the prince regains consciousness. And the prince is very surprised, and she is thinking, I was not teaching that enchantress how to play the piano just now. Then Jiang Jue says to the prince, Young master, please close your eyes and concentrate. I am saving you, don't think too much. And the prince is thinking, is it Mr. Jiang? Why is he here? Forget it, sir, he is not a bad person and will not harm me. Let's just listen to him for now. And Jiang Jue is healing the prince and saying to him, open your mouth. And Jiang Jue puts a pill in the prince's mouth, and the prince is thinking, the dizziness in my mind slowly disappears. That feeling of thinking is gone. I just feel a little weak. And the prince is saying, Mr. Jiang, you and me, and as soon as the prince looks back, she becomes very shocked, and she says, are you really Mr. Jiang? Then Jiang Jue uses his power and returns to his original form. Then he says to the prince, something happened, so I put on a little disguise. And looking at Prince Jiang Jue, she is saying, fortunately, it's really you. But then the prince feels something and she is thinking, where are my clothes? Are you talking to Mr. Jiang? I remembered that the enchanting concubine's tent smelled of delicious food, and then Jiang Jue tells Prince, the situation is urgent, and I have no choice but to do so even if the young master is angry. He will wait until he leaves this place before looking for an army to investigate. And Jiang Jue is thinking, this is the palace of the demon concubine. She might arrive at any time, so she must run away quickly. Then the prince says, I know, I don't blame sir. I don't know. Have you ever been married, sir? And Jiang Jue says to the prince, I am also a practicing person, so I cannot be emotional casually. And the prince says, but wasn't the poison that Mr. just now detoxified for me a gift from Mr. Concubine? And Jiang Jue is thinking, it turned out that she remembered everything just now. Then Jiang Jue further says, young master, it's better to leave first if it's dangerous here. And she says to Prince Jiang Jue, I don't have any strength left in my body and I'm afraid I won't even be able to stand up. If you, sir, have a way to get out of trouble, don't worry about me. And Jiang Jue says, I have a way, I'm offended. And Jiang Jue holds the prince in his lap and Jiang Jue is saying using his power, all ghosts and gods, listen to my orders. The 5 ghosts opened the way and the 5 gods took shelter. Disease. Then we see Su Xian who is speaking, the black-backed general of the Yuhua River has been unable to contact the previous Baizi Yuhua River floods for a long time. Could it be that the old turtle is really overcoming the disaster? How dare it! Without the human emperor's canonization, all its karma would be gone by now. We have agreed that as long as it captures people for me to make elixirs, I will obtain the emperor's canonization decree for it. How could it not abide by the agreement? It doesn't matter if it dies, it will ruin my life. Who can arrest people for me now? I originally wanted to use the name of building a leopard house to recruit refugees and arrest people from them, but I was blocked by the Grand Master Lin Xianfeng and Qin and Wang Qin. This time I summoned Taoist priests to make elixirs to take care of Qin, but who knew she was actually a woman? But with that old Qigong, I guess she is in a romantic and happy mood now. Is this the art of inviting gods? That direction is the side hall. Could it be that the old beggar was an expert? Someone come! And after this the scene shifts and we see Prince N's mansion. And Jiang Jue has taken the prince with him, and has come to a room, and makes the prince lie down on the bed, and he is saying to her, this is where I will stay in the palace. It should be safe. Then Jiang Jue has called some gods and is saying to them, thank you all the immortals for your help. A few gifts are not a sign of respect. And she is looking at Prince Jiang Jue, and she is thinking, Mr. Jiang, the supernatural power, it's like a fairy. And at the same time there is a smile on the prince's face. Then Jiang Jue is saying, the art of praying to the gods invites the 5 gods and 5 ghosts, all of which are orthodox god prayers. But there is a price to pay for driving these gods to pray. I lost half of my merit by cleaning up the black turtle's back before. Xian Tian Lei Fa Tian Zun. Just take it away now, it takes some merit to get rid of it. 5 gods and 5 ghosts. Then Jiang Jue makes all those gods and ghosts disappear. Then he is speaking to the prince, since the young master is fine, I will take my leave first. Then she grabs hold of Prince Jiang Jue's clothes and says to him, Sir, can you stay with me for a while? I also want to exchange information with my husband. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, all right. There's nothing else. After some time, we see that both of them are sitting at a different place. And the prince is telling Jiang Jue, according to the information Mr. just mentioned, I must write a letter to invite Lin Xianfeng, the current taifu, to come to the mansion for discussion. I will ask my confidants to deliver the letter to the taifu mansion. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, Sir, let me do it. And the prince says, How good is this kind of errand, Mr. Labor? And Jiang Jue is saying, No problem. And we see that strong winds start blowing at that place. And that thing disappears. And Jiang Jue is saying to Prince, Don't worry, young master, the letter is now in the hands of the master. And she says to Prince Jiang Jue, Of course I believe in Mr. And after some time, Jiang Jue is reading a book. She then looks back at the prince, and as soon as the prince notices that Jiang Jue is looking at her, she straightens her head. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, Young master, what do you want to ask? And the prince is feeling shy. At the same time she is thinking, Mr. Jiang should not have been allowed to come over. Then Jiang Jue gets closer to the prince, due to which the prince feels a little shy. And Jiang Jue is saying to the prince, Is the young master really okay? Your face is so red. And then someone knocks on the prince's door and says, Your Majesty, Mrs. Lin is here. And the prince says, Please bring Master Lin in. Then Jiang Jue says to the prince, Young master, I will retreat first. And the prince says to Jiang Jue, Sir, there is no need to leave. And Jiang Jue is saying, If a ruler is short or an inches long, please don't be embarrassed. At the same time Jiang Jue is thinking, sooner or later, Gongzi Lian will face Su Xian, and he may have already conspired with Taifu Lin. If I don't leave, I'll be even more unable to get rid of it. Then the prince says, All right. Today I have a hard time, sir. Please go and have some rest. And as Jiang Jue walks out of the prince's room, he sees some man, and this man's name is Lin Xianfeng. And Jiang Jue greets the man after seeing him, and as soon as the man crosses, Jiang Jue also starts leaving from that place, and Jiang Jue is saying, It is also a short-lived phase. After this the scene shifts. And we see Su Xian, who is speaking, You said you got that old-fashioned attitude from the underground palace? And the maid is very scared and she is saying, Don't dare to deceive your empress. That old and clever person should be the alchemist in the palace these days. As long as the old Qigong is still in Xianyang City, he will not be able to escape, so I sent people to catch him. And Su Xian says to the maid, That's all, just run away. Qin can't run away. Since he could escape right under my nose, how could he be found so easily? There are indeed many talented people around Qin. And the maid is saying, Madam, what happens today, if King Qin sues the king? And Su Xian says, Then let her sue me. Since I dare to deal with her like this, I will naturally have a way to cure her. Have the people from Tiannin Mountain been invited? Can arrive tomorrow. Is there any news about the Jiang the Demon Lord is looking for? Then the maid said, I was about to report this matter to my empress. The slave girl dug out a piece of news from the mouth of a visitor to Prince Qinin's residence. After King Qinin returned to Xianyang from the Yuhua River, he had an additional retainer. Few people know the specific name of this man, but everyone in the family calls him Mr. Jiang. It is said that Mr. Jiang is also good at divination. And Su Xian is thinking, could it be that the devil is mainly looking for someone, just beside Qin? Next day. Prince Sen's mansion. And a servant is saying to Jiang Jue, Good day Mr. Zodanfu you are, And Jiang Jue says to that servant, I'm going out to visit friends, I'll be back when I'm done. Visiting friends? Big and small bags. And that servant is thinking, since the guests who were invited to the palace have left and never returned, the rest of the guests in the house were frightened. People often packed their bags and ran away at night. Could it be that but the prince is already here, and he will never do anything to embarrass Mr. Jiang? Then he says to the servant Jiang Jue, then please be careful, sir. And Jiang Jue tells him to the servant, okay, bye, little brother. And that servant is thinking, Mr. Jiang has always been favored by the prince. Did he even give up on the prince? Then after this the scene shifts and Jiang Jue is saying, ever since I traveled to this world, I have been cautious without this caution. I'm afraid someone would have died a long time ago. Gongzi Lian is such a sage, but his fate is so different you can't just sit back and ignore it. And Jiang Jue cuts his hair, and ties it into 3 bundles. And Jiang Jue is performing some kind of ritual, and he is saying, among the Dharma, burning incense is the first to magia. Today I used 3 incense sticks to bring merits. Invite all the saints from all over the world, all directions. Limited secret. It is said that the Bai Xian family in Nanshanling today entering Weiyang of Qin State. If you are willing, please send incense. It doesn't matter whether it's a passing monster, an elf, or a ghost. Please show up. And that thing is speaking to Jiang Jue. It seems that the applicant is a Piao. And Jiang Jue says to that ghost, how? Please help me send a message to the Tianan Mountains. This incense is yours. And that ghost is smelling the smell of Jiang Jue's burnt hair. Then Jiang Jue says to that ghost, haha, although this little lonely soul has no magic power, but being an errand boy is easy. Good boy, no need to thank you, don't forget your brother's support. And that ghost disappears from that place. After this the scene shifts, and we see Prince N's mansion. Then a man is speaking, Your Highness Chimu, Mr. Jiang left the house early in the morning, saying he was going out of town to visit friends. Then the prince says, Mr. Jiang was fished out of the Yuhua River by me. It was also his first time in Qin. Where did this old friend come from? And the man says, well, I saw him with big and small bags. Then the prince says, got it, go down, we'll meet. And the prince is thinking, no wonder. The demon concubine always targets me for implicating the guests in my house and tries to escape. Even Taifu Lin Xianfeng was helpless and only asked me to be patient. Anyone can see that I'm at the end of my rope. Mr. Jiang doesn't like others to serve him, so he has always cleaned the yard himself. This fish is not an ornamental fish like koi, but a very ordinary carp. His taste was always eccentric. Have you ever left me? But then Jiang Jue arrives at that place, and the prince starts looking back. And Jiang Jue says to the prince, are you looking for me? And the prince quickly goes and holds Jiang Jue's hand, and says to him, Sir, why are you still here? And Jiang Jue says to the prince, Sir, what are you saying? Isn't it arranged by young master that I'm here? Could it be that the young master doesn't want me to stay here? And the prince is saying to Jiang Jue, no, Mr. can live in this courtyard as long as he wants. And Jiang Jue said to the prince, the young master, others thought that the young master had caught a thief. After this we see the night scene. Jiang Jue and the prince are sitting at a table. And the prince is saying to Jiang Jue, I heard from the concierge that your husband is out visiting friends. I thought, Sir, did you meet this old friend during this trip? And Jiang Jue tells the prince, no. But finally I found a messenger and sent a message to my old friend, asking him to come to my house to talk. Come here? I don't know what kind of old friend he is. And Jiang Jue starts using his power, due to which the prince gets surprised and the prince is saying, what's going on? The whole house shook, and Jiang Jue is saying, don't be afraid, young master, it's just that person coming. And the prince is very scared. And he is saying, Who is coming? And Jiang Jue is saying smilingly, of course it is. An old friend. And we see that the shadow of a very dangerous lion is seen at that place, seeing which even the prince gets very scared, and is saying, there seems to be something outside. I gonna go see it. And when the prince opens the door and sees, he is very surprised. And Jiang Jue is saying to the prince, how about it? What did the young master see? So the prince says, well, it seems to be a kitten. Eyelashes. Since you walked in by yourself. Then the cat starts coming inside the room, and Jiang Jue is saying to that cat, look who the little lonely soul invited. It seems that this trip was not in vain. Long time no see, no need to be so cold. Then Jiang Jue moves his hand, but the cat is getting very angry. But Jiang Jue picks it up and starts caressing it, but the cat attacks Jiang Jue, and seeing this the prince says, ah, the little tiger is so cute. And Jiang Jue is saying, who says it's not? Then the prince says, by the way, I'm going to prepare some cat food for the little tiger, there is a useful young man. After some time, we see that the cat has calmed down, and she is resting while sitting on the table. And Jiang Jue is filling wine in the glass, and is saying to that cat, that day, I stayed in the Tianan mountains for half a month, and all the little tigers avoided seeing me. Why did you come to Xianxia to help me in person? And the cat says to Jiang Jue, I can't get used to drinking in this world. And Jiang Jue is saying, there were some things that I couldn't understand at the time, but I understand them now. That day, the little tiger deliberately led me to the Yuhua River to meet the blackback general. Was he also trying to test me? And the cat says to Jiang Jue, if you don't say anything, then I won't dare to make a mistake. You actually speak the truth so absolutely. If you fell into the water because of this, you can't blame me. I was born with a different pupil and my left eye can see people's good fortune and opportunities. But I can never see through you even if it's a little bit of testing, it's not too much, right? You once deduced the destiny for many creatures in the Tianan mountains. I am kind to Tiananling. Now, you sent that little lonely soul to send a message to Tianan Ridge for help. I wait and we see that there are many dangerous monsters in that place, whose shadow slooky's happening. And seeing this the cat also becomes very surprised. And she is speaking, you should help me greatly. And Jiang Jue is saying, I didn't expect so many friends to come. Jiang Mao has made everyone worry. Please stay put for now. Then all those monsters disappear from this place. Then we see a scene from another place, and Su Xian is coming out of the bath. And she is saying, have you found the whereabouts of Jiang Yu? Back to the cooking lady, it was confirmed that there was a Mr. Jiang in Prince N's mansion. It's just that the servant visited the palace several times at night but could not enter the courtyard of Mr. Jiang at all. Oh? Your cultivation has reached the 6th level, but you can't even see his face? Then the maid says to Su Xian, there are several great demons guarding the courtyard, and they are all stronger than the slaves. The slaves are really lawless. And Su Xian is thinking, it seems that Mr. Jiang is the person the devil is looking for. It's just that the opponent's cultivation level is unfathomable. No problem. Feng Jian Nu will arrive in Qin in 3 days. She will then be able to deal with this. Mr. Jiang. Then Su Xian says, how is master by you? So the maid tells, he has surrendered everything and is willing to listen to the queen's orders. Then Su Xian is saying, so good, it's time to give His Highness Prince An a big gift. After this we see that a man has come inside the palace, and is saying, Your Majesty, the whole Xianxia city has been filled with the aroma of medicine recently. The dry old trees sprouted new buds, various flowers bloomed regardless of the season, and strange phenomena occurred frequently. Probably the Empress has arrived. And Su Xian has brought a gift with her for the king. And the prince is thinking, what is she here for? And Su Xian says to king, the elixir is ready and presented to the king. And the king becomes very happy after hearing this, and he comes to Su Xian and says, please get up quickly, please get up quickly. And Su Xian says to king, may your majesty live a long and prosperous life. King, please take your medicine. And king takes that thing and he is saying, the gift given by my beloved concubine is poison that penetrates the intestines. This king is also very happy. And the king eats the thing. But as soon as king if someone eats that thing, he starts feeling a lot of pain. And seeing this the prince becomes very surprised.